Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another Sunday brunch. You know what I do during these Sunday brunches, right? I just talk about things that I sort of bumped into, experienced during the week. So, what are we talking about here? Okay, first thing I want to talk about is Serato DJ 4. Serato came out with this latest version update, Serato 4. And it seems like it tackled a lot of issues that a lot of DJs were having, with the crates and the playlists and things like that. I really can't tell you, right? Because I don't use, DJ software like that. I know the crate situation with with Serato was sort of gimpy. I guess it's better now, but I'm not quite sure. And it's kind of the same to me. It does close a little faster. It did crash on me once, I will say that. When I closed it, it just kept spinning beach balls, so I was just like, okay, so I just force quit, right? But I also noticed that, when you analyze tracks, it sort of gets it on a 1. It did that before, but it's a little tighter, so that's pretty cool. I don't know about one library, but I guess in the next firmware update that will happen, so we will see. But yeah, so it's just Rekordbox. I mean, again, a lot of DJs were complaining about stuff. It's just when you look at some of these DJ forums, on Tractor or DJ Pro, and you see these DJs basically begging the company, oh, please, can you add this controller to your DJ software? Please, 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 please. Is this really? Really? It's so many people have asked for the XDJ AZ to be incorporated or at least integrated with DJ Pro. I mean, look at the forum on this. It's a year and a half going. And people are like, please, please, when are you going to do it? And it's just no, And here's the thing, the other thing too. You can use the XZ on, with DJ Pro, but the screens do not work, right? You use the AZ with Virtual DJ, the screens work. You use the XZ with Virtual DJ, the screens work. Why can't the screens work with DJ Pro? Gotta think about that, right? I know it's a $50 a year software, but it's just the software too, right? It's no hardware connected to it, It's the opposite of Reloop. Reloop is hardware, so they have to create software partnerships. DJ Pro is software, so they have to create hardware partnerships. So I don't know how that's going. But anyway, and a lot, again, I was saying, a lot of people just complain about, oh, this, that, and the other. And I was just so when I was using Serato 4, I was just okay, so this is what I do. And I think a lot of DJs do this. So this is what I do. First of all, it's rare now that I actually use crates or playlists on that specific DJ software. I create all of my playlists with streaming and also music that I've bought inside of Apple Music. So I'll create a playlist. It's all of the music I purchased, maybe deep house, something like that, new disco, indie dance, something like that. These are playlists, right? So when software companies do the okie doke, I don't lose anything because everything is organized inside of Apple Music. So the whole complaining about, oh, crates, this, that, and the other is just well, just create something on your desktop or something like that. So once I create this, once I have the tracks that I want, let's say I just select 60 tracks for a 2-hour set, right? I analyze them, I hot queue them up, I edit the grid if I need to. Once everything is cool, I take all those tracks, put them in a playlist on Apple Music, and then I'm done. Again, if my laptop goes kabooey or something like that, my playlist is still there because it's on Apple Music. Again, me personally, I do not use playlists or crates in any DJ software because of that specific purpose, that specific reason. What if? It's no what if now because everything is done in Apple Music. So there you go. Speaking of DJ software, so I have to admit now that Rekordbox is a little gimpy. So it does this weird thing, when I connect my laptop to it, and I'm in the zone, I'm DJing, got some drinks in me, everything else, I'm in the zone, I'm at the crib, right? And then all of a sudden it just sounds like the music is slow. Someone just maybe nudged the jog left or right, and it just slowed the music down. And I'm just like, well, who's doing that? Why is that happening, right? It doesn't happen when I use a thumb drive. The other thing is this here, when I'm using Rekordbox connected to the laptop, sometimes the music just speeds up. It's just like, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, see, I'm in a groove, I'm in a pocket, and then the music speeds up. And again, like I said previously, what I realized before was when I had the XDJ XZ, I never used Rekordbox. I was using Serato. And now I'm using Serato again. So I'm not using Rekordbox, because it's just a little gimpy. And it's like really sad because if you want to sort of use the cloud, you got to pay for a subscription. It's just like, it's just the wild, wild west out here now. So Rekordbox is real gimpy. I'm not dealing with Rekordbox. And another software that is starting to feel a little gimpy is Virtual DJ. I was DJing with Virtual DJ, and I just noticed it's sort of, I don't know, it's like when you're trying to use the sync or when you're trying to, just beat match or something like that, it just doesn't stay in a pocket like you want to. You're always playing with it. I'm fine with that. But, it's a bit too excessive. So, I'm doing this. I'm trying to, create some like vibes. I'm trying to create like some atmosphere with effects and things like that. Yeah, it's just, it's not as tight as some of the other DJ softwares. It's really good, right? But if I had to choose with the 5 DJ softwares I'm using now, I don't have a tractor controller anymore. I got rid of my S8. I got rid of the S5. I do have the X1, but I'm waiting for the MK4, whatever the next iteration of the flagship controller comes out for Native Instruments. So, really I'm using, for the most part, Serato, DJ Pro, and Tractor sometimes, right? I don't really use Rekordbox anymore, and I don't really use Virtual DJ, so it's unfortunate. Oh, well. Oh, so here's some other big news. So Rock Nation, that's right, Jay-Z's Rock Nation came out with a distribution company, a digital distribution company, right? People are talking about it. Go on YouTube, go check it out. And, a lot of people are complaining about this like new service as well, right? Because, you don't pay anything, right? So you don't have to pay for your releases to be released digitally, right? What Rock Nation distribution does is it says, hey, you want to release your music with us? Fine. We're going to take 15% in perpetuity, basically. You got to read the terms of use or terms of service. I'm not going to get into that, but there are a lot of red flags, a lot of like landmines you really have to take a look at. What I would do is I would take the terms of services, print it as a PDF, throw it into like, one of the AI chat bots and say, hey, I'm a recording artist, I'm a producer, yada, yada, yada. List all of the landmines and the red flags, that I should know about based on these terms of services or terms of use, right? So that's what I would do. And then like see what it is, because again, just listening to what YouTubers are saying about Rock Nation distribution is, it's kind of wild. I'll say that, But if you really think about it, like back in the day when you signed with a major and they're like, okay, we're going to sell this CD for $15. After we take all the money that we're supposed to take, you may get 50 cents or $1 for every CD you sold. So what Rock Nation distribution is saying, it's like, hey, you know what? You don't have to pay for every release, but when you do release something, we're going to just take 15% and you keep 85%. The breakdown isn't bad, to be honest with you. And they have a really robust dashboard. So you can go and you can log into your dashboard and look at analytics on all sort of platforms. Like, you can look at your, what your music is doing on TikTok, how your music is doing on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all of that stuff, right? It's right there in the dashboard. So, when you have these digital distribution companies now, right, they all do the same thing, right? So what are you doing differently? What you're doing differently is like, amping up that dashboard. Really, that's it, because you're just trying to get your money on the back end. but you want to provide a better service for the indie artists. So I think, amping up the dashboard is pretty cool because I use CD Baby. So I pay like maybe $10 or $12 for a single I want to release, and that's it. Or if I want to release an album, I pay like $20 or $30 once, and that's it. If I can also take my music and, take that music off of CD Baby and put it on a totally different digital distributor. With Rock Nation distribution, you can't do that. These are exclusive deals, right? So when you release something on Rock Nation distribution, that's it. You can't say, hey, you know what, I'm done with you. I want to take this over to like, DistroKid or something like that. No, it doesn't work that way. Is that good or bad? I mean, I don't know. I think what I would do is I would like release a track or an EP on there first just to see what's up. And then really, just after a year, try to figure it out. You also have United Masters. That's, kind of the same thing, but they're actually really looking for artists. They're like, oh, so if you distribute your music with United Masters and you're like pretty hot, they may reach out to you and say, hey, let me talk to you. I don't know if Rock Nation distribution is doing that, but you got the name recognition, you got the company recognition. So, it's pretty cool. So I don't know, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna register and look at the back end, look at the dashboard, come back and let you know what I think. So I have another YouTube channel called Behind the Groove Podcast where me and DJ Keo, we review TV and film, right? And we have been doing this for like 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, yo, why are the subs not ticking up? Why are the views not ticking up? The content is crispy, the video production is going to be nice. Can I do better on the thumbnails? Sure. But I think that, if you have really great titles, that should also help with pushing your content out there into the YouTube algorithm. So I was like, for a few weeks now, maybe even a few months, I was just like, hey, you know what? It's something going on here. We were stuck at 508 subs for like 4 or 5 months. And I'm just like, it's something going on here. Obviously, Behind the Groove, nothing else in front of it behind it is associated with Tina Marie. That's it. Behind the Groove. It's associated with Tina Marie. That is it. That is her song, Behind the Groove. That's the association. It's been in the ethos for like 20, 30 years. That's it. So I was like, it's the name. So I went into some of these AI chatbots, right? I started using Perplexity and I was like, Perplexity I was using that, but it's starting to, bug me out now because, they train their model on, I should say 45% of their model is trained on Reddit. So, so you have the Reddit boys and the Reddit girls, like creating false information, and Perplexity is like, hey, this is cool, right? Claude, I don't have a paid account. I don't have a paid account with any of these chatbots. So with Claude, after 4 or 5, prompts, done. They're like, hey, you're like locked down until like 8 p.m., which is so goofy. You're training this joint on data. Like, why not just let us do what we do, but just maybe not give us like awesome like output, give us awesome output if you're paying for it. Chat GPT, it's super slow now. But I decided that because I am trying to rebrand or think about rebranding our YouTube channel, the Behind the Groove Podcast, let me go into Google Gemini, Alphabet. They own YouTube, so they should have a lot of information. So I was like, hey, give me, first of all, this is what's going on. I know this name is associated with Tina Marie. Give me some new names. And they gave me some really corny names, right? And it's just like, why are you giving me these names and not checking if they're available like across all socials? It's like, oh, all right, anyway, right? So they gave me some really good information. One of the things they said I should do is work on my thumbnails. This is for the Behind the Groove Podcast channel, right? And so they were like, 2 things they said that really struck me. They said, 1, you should think about using emotional faces. Right. And I was like, emotional faces, huh? So, that's basically when you have a thumbnail and then the picture, and then a picture of yourself or anyone else who's on the podcast is on the thumbnail with an emotional face. Like, you see some of those sometimes when you see, these are the dumbest thumbnails on YouTube where you see like just the person, a guy, girl, on the thumbnail with their mouth open, like, just like, really? And then here's the worst thing, right? When the head is zoomed out and the body is small, I see that a lot. I see that a lot with like YouTubers who are like 60 years old. It's just like, no, that's like, dude, no, that's not what you should be doing at 50, at 60. You're gonna like zoom out your head this big and then you have like a small pencil body. That is so goofy. You're trying too hard. You're thirsty. What are you doing? You're 60 years old. You're 50 years old. Stop it. You don't have to use the emotional faces, on a YouTube thumbnail, for the algorithm to catch you, or at least for people to say, hey, boom, that thumbnail looks pretty cool. This guy's head is pretty big, his body is pretty small. I'm definitely going to watch that. One of the other things they told me to do was use controversial text. So, you create your thumbnail and then you have like overlay text. So let's just say, like, for instance, we're reviewing Pluribus right now, which is an awesome show on Apple TV. You got to check it out. And it's by Vince Gilligan, the guy from like Breaking Bad. So they were like, hey, you know what? I said, show me an example. Use one of my Pluribus videos. And they were like, well, you can do this and then you can just use some like really like negative like stuff, just like, hey, is she real? She's a really bad person. I'm talking about Carol and like, Pluribus. It's just like, I said, but my thing is this here, right? There are some things I don't like doing that I will not do. When I'm doing YouTube videos, I don't think I have to use profanity. Like, why? I mean, I use profanity in my everyday life, but I don't think I need to put it out there on blast, so YouTubers can check it out, right? The other thing I won't do is, I'm not chasing anything. You won't see my thumbnail. You won't see me on a thumbnail with a huge head and a pencil body. That's too much. You won't see that from me. And then I asked, Google Gemini, I was like, well, I don't want to use emotional faces. And they were like, well, you don't have to, but you should still use controversial text. I can see why that's important, because if someone is just like scrolling through YouTube and they see a thumbnail that may pull them in, that text, that overlay text on a thumbnail could do it. So I would understand that. But putting my face on a thumbnail is just like, no, I'm not doing that. So anyway, so again, I know on these like Sunday brunches, I talk about anything. It's not just DJ music production, Well, there you have it. Until next time, peace.